change. Now it's time for real change. Say PNT, we vote PEP. Say PNT, Progressive Empowerment Party. PNT, we vote PEP. One check by PEP. Progressive Empowerment Party. Say PNT, vote PEP.
August 10th, save TNT. PEP.
Well, the only solution, see, is an orange revolution. Big up Phillip and all the peppers. We out here to make things better. It's too much again, too much messing with we brains. Time for we to break all the chains. Too much pain, too much money down the drain. TNT, time for real change. Too much again, too much messing with we brains. Time for we to break all the chains. Too much pain, too much money down the drain. TNT, time for real change. It's time we get some good governance. Time we get some real performance. Time we give someone new a chance. Go up to now, we ain't get big grants. Time we put things in proper place. Time we stop waste, we vote on race. This government is gimmicks and games. For PEP, it's time for real change. We fed up on the yellow, we fed up on the red. So this wrong, we voted orange instead. We fed up on the yellow, we fed up on the red. So this wrong, we voted orange instead. But sweet TNT needs to be free if you love your country. Food PEP. Sweet TNT needs to be free if you love your country. Food PEP. It's too much again, too much messing with we brains. Time for we to break all the chains. Too much pain, too much money down the drain. TNT, time for real change. Too much again, too much messing with we brains. Time for we to break all the chains. Too much pain, too much money down the drain. TNT, time for real change. So much of suffer, so much of die. So much of time we turn a blind eye. So much of fall, so much of cry. So much you catch we ask to get by. So many times we give them a blight. It's time we give someone new a try. Come we fed up on the yellow, we fed up on the red. So this round we voted orange instead. We fed up on the yellow, we fed up on the red. So this round we voted the orange instead. Hey, sweet TNT needs to be free if you love your country. Food PEP. Sweet TNT needs to be free if you love your country. Food PEP. Food PEP is that easy. Food PEP if you love your country. Hey, food PEP is that easy. Food PEP if you love your country. Because it's too much against, too much messing with me brains. Time for we to break all the chains. Too much pain, too much money down the drain. TNT, time for real change. Cause it's too much again, too much messing with we brains. Time for we to break all the chains. Too much pain, too much money down the drain. TNT, time for real change. To break all the chains. Phillip and all the peppers. We out here to make things better.
Phillip and the peppers. All the way, peppers. Hot peppers, cool peppers, new peppers, sweet peppers, even some pimento peppers. Hear my voice. I am... yeah. First of all, on behalf of Mother Earth, I want to tell Kamala, you're wasting paper in Diego Martin Northeast. I know you had a a candidate to make it look like you're fighting all 39 seats. But Eli ain't trying. He wouldn't come in there, he know. Stop wasting paper. You're nominated, you spend the 5,000. Leave it so. Stop wasting paper. The fight in that constituency is between me and a Dwen. And I have a certain skill set that's not going to end well for the Dwen. And I want Trinidad and Tobago to know that. I want them to understand that this mission could only end one way. a showdown between me and Colm Imbert, and Colm losing. Because I have walked all of the Martin Northeast. I have walked it all. I have walked the bright areas and the not so bright areas. And I want to say this, all your poor people, sweet boy. I went up Clovis Chase today. Wait, first of all, I went to a bar at the intersection where Maraval meets Mount Coco meets Paramin. That little hub right there is a busy, busy place. And I went there, and I just come down from Paramin actually. We went all the way up Paramin. Seed Box Man took me in the clouds. Alright, then we talk about Paramin people. Paramin people, all you're different. All you're different. I don't want to say this too much because Trinidad might go and invade Paramin, but if you want to go to a place that reminds you of how, when people talk about sweet, sweet Trinidad, I don't know if there are many communities left like this, but Paramin touch me. Paramin remind me of growing up in sweet, sweet Trinidad. Paramin remind me of Woodbrook and Woodbrook people and how we used to deal. Paramin people, all you have it, don't let them interfere with all you. You see outside the church, that mango tree that growing in the road, and all they pave around it and put lights on it outside the church because it's part of the community. I respect that. That tree there before the road. So you walk around the tree, and I love that. It's obviously a part of the community. Paramin this morning, with the weather as it was, nobody cook. The cooking couldn't happen because of COVID-19. But we reach where the cook used to take place. Actually, that's where we stop and we turn around today, by the cook point. But we was in the clouds. We was in the clouds. Paramin was up, we was in the clouds. And Paramin people, always sweet too bad. And then, so I come down from Paramin now, and I gone by the little grocery right by the intersection. Two sisters running their father grocery. Boy, when I tell you nice people treat you like, I mean, there are places in my country that is so sickening, I call it a rat hole and a cesspool. And then I go to places like this morning. I go in this grocery and these two young ladies, and one see me and she started to laugh. And she just laughing, and the other one asked her, well, what you laughing at? Because she don't know. And she said, you don't know who he is? You don't know? And from behind my mask, I say, living in your house, trying to raise your family in a law-abiding manner. And she just had a laugh too. Because she then recognized, she said, yeah, it was a mask. But so everybody like that kicks thing, you know, you like that. And there's nowhere around her place that we could have put the banner, because we went to get permission to put up a banner. If you notice, I have printed 8,000 flyers, full color, with my face and vote Progressive Empowerment Party August 10th. The same thing, all the rest of them printed. And all of us in the PEP. And I've stuck not one on a wall, on a lamppost, nowhere. Nowhere. I've stuck not one. What I did instead was we printed a lot of banners. We have a lot of banners, and we print up a lot of banners with wire ties, but we're not just putting them up. We're stopping and we're getting permission. So there was nowhere inside of this lady's place, these young ladies' place, and it very well kept. I said we could stick it up outside on the wall. She said, my father. I said, all right, I know, I have a father like that. So anyway, we leave it. And as we leave it, next door to them, the place next door, it abandoned. So we chatting with people and things, and people say, yeah, well, it kind of in a confusion, but talk to Sheldon. Because Sheldon is the man up here. So where's Sheldon? Checking the bar. So we cross the road and we go in the bar. Everybody liming. It's still early in the morning. And everybody liming. But Sheldon not there. So people tell me, the woman behind the bar point at a man sitting by the door. Now everybody in the bar, football going on. So I want to interrupt the football too much because everybody taking in the football. But she point at an elderly chap, an elder, by the door, sitting on a chair in a position where you know, she say he know everybody. So I tell him I'm looking for Sheldon, and he take me outside. He said, go Clovis. Go up. Third house, you see some plants wrong it. Talk to him there. He can tell you what's going on with that property. So by now, we properly inculcated in Paramin and Monkoko, and we causing a little stir. People come into line, people come in to see we. So I go up Clovis and I stop by a house, third house, and an old lady come out. And she's sweet too bad. She take my brochure. She say, I Sheldon aunt, you know, but Sheldon don't live here. Sheldon has lived 2 houses up there. And Sheldon aunt talking to me and telling me about, and I say to her, I say, you know, auntie, this place real sweet boy. Everybody up here nice. She said, not everybody. She said, not everybody. There was a time when all the youths knew to stop and say good morning. It changed up too much. And I heard it in her voice. She elderly. She had no teeth in her mouth. And like she came outside without putting in her dentures and things. But she just being normal and nice with me. But I just trying to tell you that she's a very elderly lady. And she was, so I go up by Sheldon's house, but Sheldon not there. So I turn around, I come back down the road. She's still outside there. So we still chatting. I say, I see Sheldon. And she say, well, he must be gone by the grocery. Lucky friend coming down the road. Now, this is how people live. And this is how I know people to live. And I see friend Ans. And Ans coming down the road. So, Ans pull up by the bar and I say, Ans, we're looking for Sheldon. I say, boy, like he gone in the grocery. Because if you know in the bar, he gone to the grocery and he coming back now. But I go in the bar and he meeting me by the bar. So, check me back in the bar. So, I stand up on the line with Auntie a little bit more. She tell me, cross your fingers and do well. We need new blood in this community. We need somebody to come and fix it up. I say, Auntie, if you know me at all, I will fix it. And we part ways, and I went and I did some more work. And then about an hour later, we come back and we pull up by the bar. We see Ants sitting outside on the porch, like it's his front porch in the bar. So by now, Ants and we is friends. So Ants, he rich? Yeah, inside. So we pull up. This time, when we break the door, the place packed. And who come out the door but Sheldon? And Sheldon, I looking for a stranger. Sheldon is somebody I know practically my whole life. And it's just, I say, is you? And I say, yeah, is he? And he said, so we talk and we give real permission and thing, but they invite me to stay and drink some rum. Now, your boy don't really drink rum, but I sponsor a bottle of rum because, I mean, the line going on and everybody took the time to help me out. And I got through with what I came there to do. And when I was leaving, boy, I thought to myself, this is the Trinidad I'm fighting for. This is the Trinidad that I'm fighting for, that my children have to search. You don't get that in fairways. And I'm not knocking fairways. But fairways, everybody wall taller than you. Everybody gate taller than you. Electric fence on top the wall. Camera watching you. And everything is a... You see, some people just get so rich that for the rest of their lives, they have to defend and guard the money. Sheldon auntie, boy, if I had park up, we was going inside for Milo, and she normal, and when your life, Khalil Gibran said, what are possession but things you keep and guard for fear that you may need them tomorrow? And what is tomorrow to the overzealous dog burying bones in the trackless sands of the desert as he follows the pilgrims to the Holy Land? And I felt that because I have feet in all those worlds, and I feel sorry for the people who have so much that it's become a comfortable burden. And a man just write on my wall, great is the PNM, and I hope he sticks around to tell me great at what. Just give me one thing they're great at. Just one. One thing in Trinidad that the PNM did that you think, no, don't chase him, Hadassah. I think his name was Miguel. Maybe he's Venezuelan. So maybe great is the PNM because they give him a card. And I understand that, brother. Your country turned into a shithole. I get that. But I want you to understand, Rowley and Kamala, that is we Maduro and Chavez. So what you run from, I trying to prevent happening in my country. So it's not great. It's not great. Alim Bojam says home just got shaken up. What it got shaken up by Alim. But I wish he could tell me what he thinks is great. I will leave him to answer at his convenience, because I'd like to know. I want UNC and PNM supporters to defend their party without calling the other party name. Because the Progressive Empowerment Party, the only thing that we have to say about the PNM and the UNC, they ruined the country. But the moment you give us the authority to manage the country, we have no interest in them. What we meet is what we're working with. If you're going to tell me your party, you're supporting it, tell me, where do you think you got $300 billion worth of laptops? Tell me. Because we really had a talk. Yeah? Earthquake at 8:03 p.m. at 5.3. But hear me now. I wanna go back to what I was telling you. Because now Winston Churchill was an evil man. Telling you that. So I put my cards on the table. Winston Churchill was an evil man. He was responsible for the deaths of a lot of people. A lot of people. And murderous deaths. But he was also the person that saved England from Hitler. But that's a whole long story and stuff. So I'm going to put on the table that I don't think he was a good person, but he made some good points. And during World War II, in a budget meeting, they said we could use the funding for the arts and use that to make artillery to fight the war. And Churchill asked them, well then what are we fighting for? If you don't have a vision of what you're fighting for, the Progressive Empowerment Party from the very start, and those of you who just I want to get rich till I'm dead, I am the wrong man to follow. I would love the entire country to get as rich as they want, but it shouldn't come at the expense of community, and it shouldn't come at the expense of your humanity, and it shouldn't come at the expense of our camaraderie. We used to have, I swear to you, I grew up in a Woodbrook where everybody fruit trees was exchanged with everybody else. So you got what you needed from each other and you gave away from yours. So when somebody, child, come up your walkway slippers slapping on the ground. Mrs. Alexander, Mommy sent me for some limes. Yeah, go and take some limes from the lime tree. Good morning, Mrs. Alexander. Good morning, Auntie. Mommy sent me for some limes. What happened to that? Where did that go? What did we get in exchange for it? And was it worth it? Burglar proofing. Burglar proofing on our houses throughout the country. Burglar proofing. Security guards. Gated communities. Burglar alarms. Alarm monitoring. Community policing. Alarm response and monitoring. You're walking in your own street and police stopping to ask you what you're doing there if you're living in the area. And it's like the country under siege. Under siege. And I want to tell you, if you're white in Trinidad, you could become a hitman. If you're white and you're well dressed, or Syrian, you could go anywhere and no police might stop and ask you what you're doing there. Because what they could ask of black people, they dare not ask of white people in Trinidad. And I don't know why. And I tell people, I said, a white person or a light-skinned person in Trinidad doesn't get the same treatment as a black person by the police. You're not a suspect for everything. And we got there, we got to this point because of greed. The greed of a few. The greed of a few who realized that they could use Trinidad to import cocaine and ship it to other countries. And when they made a little bit of money, they would do it themselves. I remember a young Syrian gentleman was held on a plane with a briefcase full of cocaine. This was early times still. And it became where, and different races, we had Teddy Mice, Dolce, and all of these people. But it became a thing where people realized that you could make fast and easy money, because in the 80s, America went crazy for cocaine. And so Colombia started to produce cocaine. And as America tried to fight the war on drugs, and Ronald Reagan and all of them, and Nancy Reagan say no to drugs, Trinidad became a pipeline and people became fabulously rich. But with that wealth for them came a ruined society. They've ruined Trinidad. Now they're wealthy and they driving down the road in fancy cars, and in a world of pure karma, all the wrong, all of the negatives of it should blow up in their face. It should reach in their house. It should, and not that I want to wish negative on nobody, but this country that the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago knows, tonight he knows that we are a narco state. Now I don't know if he and they are just incompetent. Somebody asked Glenn Robinson, if all the prime ministers before didn't stop the drug trade, if all the prime ministers before didn't secure the nation's borders, if all the prime ministers before didn't do what Phillip says he's going to do, how are we so sure that Phillip can do what he wants to do? Is it that it is impossible to do? So Glenn asked me, and I said, or is it that every government we've ever had has received money from people? Every political party that's ever formed a government has received money from people whose preference is that the borders don't be closed. so they've been facilitated. Because it could be closed. It could be closed. And between 2007 and 2010, when we got SORT and the 360-degree radar, and when he ordered the OPVs, Patrick Manning, I think between 2007 and 2010, Patrick Manning, for some reason, wanted to do that. He wanted to secure the nation's border, and I don't know why. I don't know what was pushing him in that direction, and I think that's one of the reasons why he was fired. I want to tell you something. We can secure this country in quick time. There are people in foreign jurisdictions who have offered this country. I got to tell you, there are people who offer to help this country with a lot of things. And I remember after the flooding, there was a problem and people were sending from abroad. People were trying to send relief. And Stuart Young said, the port can't handle the relief. Send money instead. Because what the 1% saw was an opportunity to profit over misery. And if you send relief from outside, they lose the sale. And it's the sale they want. But more importantly, they would lose a sale that they would have gotten if these people didn't have the misery of the catastrophe and just went about their daily lives. Because the thing that you're supplying as relief would have come from them. The country is set up to milk you. Now, I know there are a lot of you who never thought big enough to understand that it is the responsibility of the government to prevent that from being the case, and that a real prime minister would have ended it a long time ago. I want to tell you, I'd like to be the man that puts them where they should have been put a long time ago. And you see, under Robbie, when they funded uprising and sent people to shoot them up and things, the country wasn't run properly. It didn't have the right people in national security, and it wasn't serious about the issue. It was hemming and hawing. And you can't hem and haw on this. The drug trade, the money laundering, and the corruption, the white-collar criminality that takes place in Trinidad needs to be crushed. You can't negotiate with this. You need to crush it. You need to break it to the point where you break those responsible, and you have to break them, and you have to take back what they took from the country, and you have to prosecute, and regardless of who it is, but you have to fix the courts. And we need to set up maybe anti-corruption courts and drug courts with rotating judges from foreign jurisdictions so that nobody could try to intimidate or corrupt our judiciary, and do the job. Get the job done. Get it done. Break it. And whoever you are. If you betray the public trust, if you were a prime minister, right now, the prime minister of Canada is in heat, under heat for $900 million, right now. He could make a jail. Right now, the ex-president of France is in jail. The prime minister of Israel facing jail. So if you were a prime minister in this country, you see Keith Rowley and Kamala and Manning and Pandey and all of the bullshit, I watched Selwyn Kujo saying he will support UNC this time around. So all the UNC that hate Selwyn Kujo has been shared as the black Satmaraj. He is supposed to be the counterbalance to the racism. But it wasn't really racism. Satmaraj was, I mean, he was a son of a bitch and he stood for some shit. But Sat also was about advancing his people and standing in the face of a racist PNM. So I understand a little bit. I'm not saying he was a, I'm not saying, I need to be careful because Satmaraj did a lot of shit himself and said a lot of stupidness. But the Selwyn Kujo that the East Indians hate for representing the black people at the level he represents them at, they're going to love him now. And that's the interchangeability of the PNM and the UNC. And I don't know why Selwyn Kujo is motivated to support the UNC now, but there's a changing of the guard going on in PNM where people like Selwyn and Louis Leasing and Nafiza Mohammed, you open the door to a handful of really criminal people. And you all in the PNM, Nafiza, Selwyn, Louis, you all benefited from them. They put Manning in office and you open the door for them and you let them in. And now that they're comfortable and they're in control and they have their boy, Rowley's their boy. Rowley has been groomed on a leash by Amy DeLas for a long time. And under Rowley, Amy DeLas handled a transaction between B-Mobile and Massey Communications that should have warranted an investigation, but Amy DeLas said he answers to nobody. That there is a gray area in which B-Mobile operated and they could do what the hell they want. So they bought a company that was pretty much a paper company and they got away with it. And you won't even remember that. There's so much that goes on in this country. But they have their boy. Rowley's the boy. Make no mistake. Rowley is their proper dog. He used to let them call him a Rottweiler. He liked that. He advanced his career on that. And now that they are in control and they are controlling the actual machinery of the PNM, Louis Leasing is valueless. Don't need Nafiza Mohammed from Mohammedville. They don't need Selwyn Kujo as slave catcher. They're in control. And it's pure dirty money. Because the FIU can't count the hundreds in the jersey and the thousands and what paying for the bribes. FIU can't count it. When people sharing millions of dollars that not coming from a bank, where it coming from? Where it coming from? It's not coming from the bank. You're not writing a check. Where it coming from? So they've cleaned house. They are in complete control of the PNM. And the next step, if they win the election, is consolidation of power. There is not one black man or woman in the PNM with power. Not one. Not one. Gopi School, Camille can't open her mouth. If Camille opened her mouth at all, the evidence that exists for wrongdoing that she did, they will jail her. And that's how they play. That's how they play. Carrot and stick. You could get blessed or you could get cursed. But toe the line. Toe the actual line. Yeah? You're hearing Bella? She going through a stage where she butts her head a lot. Nigel Henry has done a poll that says PNM getting 43% of the vote, UNC getting 38%, and PEP getting 1%. And it is important to the slave catchers that be the front page of the Express. Because Guardian Media did a poll online and PEP won it handsomely. So Nigel Henry, if he's any like NACTA polled 526 people. Nigel Henry must be polled 400 people inside Balize House. The Guardian Media online polled about 10,000 people, respondents from anywhere, everywhere. And they just answered questions. Who would be the best prime minister? So somebody just sent that to me, and I want to tell you, it over on the ground. Now, right now, those people buy that front page. You could buy that front page. Courts did. Holiday Foods did. You could, Sunshine Snacks. You could buy the whole front page and pour it on. News in Trinidad and Tobago is for sale to the highest bidder now, you know. For sale to the highest bidder. So what you hear the morning talk shows say on the talk shows is stuff I have been interviewed enough to see them sit down there, and it's just a sort of back and forth on their phones, and it is all controlled and manipulated by people who have the money to control that. Your vote will change that. Your vote could put us in a position where we could crush the criminality in this country and build back our communities and give everybody hope and opportunity. You could change that. You could make that so. You could choose better for Trinidad and Tobago. When I tell Trinidad and Tobago that we take the water that falls from the sky and throw it in the sea so that we could spend $500 million desalinating water, it is corruption. That is not just incompetence. It is a corrupting of the system. It makes no sense. And it should never have been allowed to be this way. But there was nobody before who could tell you the truth. Keith and Kamala are liars. Stinking, dirty liars. Kamala Prasad Bisesa is a criminal liar and a whole thief herself. Thief in policy, thief in words, she thief our slogan. How would you justify a UNC? Because when you say 48%, it's not enough to say 48% of how many people, from where? From where? But these criminals, with their cocaine money, have a lot of it. And a lot of people think themselves incorruptible until presented with options of a blessing or a curse. There is not one senior black member of the PNM. Not one. I remember I was watching a game. Arsenal was my British team. For the English league, Arsenal was my team. For the Spanish league, my overall favorite team was Barcelona, and for my Italian team was AC Milan. And I remember once there was a game, Arsene Wenger put a team on the field. Not one Englishman. Not one. The entire team was foreigners. And the PNM is a breath away from replacing Rowley with a Stuart Young or a Farris. And that the Black Party, its last act and its last vote would be to vote itself to the slaughter. Because They are going to use law to legalize dictatorship. They're going to use COVID-19. The reason they don't want to put off the election is because you'd see for yourself right now the numbers in COVID-19. They're running a race with COVID-19 and they're hoping that you don't see, and they're hoping to distract you, that you don't see that the COVID-19 is escalating out of control. And immediately after the election, the PNM plans two things: martial law, because they're going to lock down this country, not like they lock it down for the last thing. They're going to be able to say we in full-blown community spread, this different, you can't leave your house for nothing. And you could rail up all you want, they will send the water cannon to your gate. That's what it's for. That's what it's for. Because the power of the parliament, that tiny percentage of people, is underpinned and upheld by the power of 1.4 million of you. But if 1.4 million of you are separated and individual, then the water cannon could come by your house, not coming to your street, not coming to your community, coming to you. And that's the reality. That as long as you are divided, it is not 1.4 million against a small percentage. It becomes a percentage of the population against you. And that's different. You lose every time. Every single time. And as long as you divide it, that'll be your reality. And we're not paying attention. And they're playing a game. And to those of you who think America wouldn't allow it, Trinidad and Tobago has nothing now that America needs. Nothing. At best, we're a jumping off point to fight Maduro. At best. At best. That's it. Venezuela has more oil than God. All the other oil producing countries together don't have as much oil as Venezuela. And you see how long Venezuela has been going through what it's been going through. Venezuela was a powerhouse prior to Chavez and Maduro. And nobody ride to their rescue. Nobody. China and Russia exploited them further. Nobody was riding to their rescue. Nobody riding for Trinidad. Nobody. Nobody will ride for Trinidad. And the day it happens, companies like BP, Amoco will say, that's it, we out. We out. So it's not like America has to come here to defend BP, Amoco. They don't. 98% of BP, Amoco's office operation, digital, it's in the cloud, they could relocate to anywhere in a heartbeat. Companies like that have mirrors all over the world. Don't think for a second that you could damage them. You can't. They're massively huge. And they'll all just say, companies in Trinidad and Tobago that have invested hundreds of millions of dollars have been quietly shutting down and leaving. We've lost all of Point Lisas. Point Lisas is a joke. Point Lisas now is some service companies that were set up to service the big industries, but the big industries are gone. We have nothing. They've left you holding an empty bag, facing them. And the only solution for you is to stand together. This election was called in no small part because the country was falling apart. There was rioting in the streets. The Chamber of Commerce said the government only care about themselves. They didn't care about you. They didn't care about the people. The Chamber of Commerce says PNM and UNC, but a Nigel Henry poll is a net. It's a net. That's what it is. It's not a light to your path. It's a net to catch you off guard. The fact that they now have to mention PEP, they have to mention it. Can't be ignored anymore. We're on the front page of the Express. And they can't ignore it anymore, but they could lie about it. I'm going to tell you something. I was out there today on the road, putting up banners. And people are treating me like a celebrity. And it's a little unnerving because the love, and the love is not for me, you know. And I get in it, so I'm trying to embody what they're seeing. Because they're seeing a man that they think will stand up for them. And I am seeing that they're vesting their last hope in me. I'm seeing that. And I want to tell you, I may not be the most, I want a word. Do not make suggestions of words. I'm not the calmest of politicians. I don't have a convent girl accent. I can't do what Mariano and Vassant do. I can't. I've sat and spoken with people like Garvin Nicholas. This morning I read Garvin's manifesto. Garvin and two friends are on an escapade in Diego Martin. And all they're going to do is waste time and waste your vote. In Diego Martin Central, vote for Felicia Holder. Let me tell you something about that young woman. Simon de Nobrega is a shit snake without the shit. And I know Simon since I small. Simon in it for Simon. Simon has done nothing for nobody. There is nothing he could claim that he accomplished since he get the little Kobo sweat. He get all money and he opened himself a bar on Peter Avenue. I'm not the most diplomatic, I like that term. Simon is a shit snake. Felicia with one arm accomplishes more than Simon and Daryl Smith together could accomplish. And you see Diego Martin Central on the heels of the revolving door of Ken Valley, Amory Brown, Daryl Smith. Now the idea is you get him, and he was giving them Justin Phelps. If Justin and his girlfriend didn't fall out and make the back of the mirror, Justin would be the person Rowley had set up because he was a member for life. Felicia Holder will fix Diego Martin Central. And she'll fix it because, not just because she's strong. She's 5'1" and she's a force of nature. I'm telling you, I'm working with her since this party started. And I'm telling you, can't push her around. I keep saying to people, it would be frightening if she had two arms. She only has one. And what she's accomplished with it in life, and what she's accomplished in this party, and what she's done. And I know, and I'm proud. I'm proud of her. I'm proud that if ever I have to step away from the leadership of this party, I am proud that there is somebody like her, and she's young enough to know enough, and she knows a lot, that she would do a fantastic job. And I would be proud to serve alongside somebody like Felicia in the parliament. And I want to tell Diego Martin Central something. Don't put God out your thoughts and miss this train. Don't miss this train. You've been isolated, abandoned, and left to your own devices. We don't even have a candidate in Diego Martin West. And we are in the middle of an election, running a campaign with magic money that we have to transform. We have to take $1 and spend it 100 different ways. And we're in the middle of that. When people call us from Manning Street, we didn't say, well, when we're done with this campaign, we dealt with it. Solved the problem because they said, Phillip, our candidate, our member of parliament, Keith Rowley, is a shithog. He don't care about nobody. He's never cared about anybody. Our Diego Martin Regional Corporation is a joke. They don't do nothing when we call them. And in 1 week or less, in 1 week, the problem they called me for was solved, and it's over and it's gone. 1 week. And that's leadership. That's representation. That's the delivery that we in the Progressive Empowerment Party stand for. You see, and I say all the time, you don't like me, you know, but you will say that's the best prime minister we've ever had. And I remember a time when we had burglar bars in our windows and we don't anymore. And there was a time when we used to have to wait weeks for water, and that is ridiculous. There was a time our children used to be abused by the Ministry of Education at the age of 11 just to have an education. There was a time all of our people who couldn't afford Sinclair and Weshaw $5,000 cover charge, who had to go and sit down in any of the accident and emergencies, were treated like dogs. So badly like dogs that MPs and government ministers with a cough or a runny nose jump on a plane and fly out rather than risk having to go to the public health they're responsible for. Our country was a mess. Traffic everywhere, the roads deplorable, the infrastructure. I mean, there was nothing working, nothing worked. I want to tell you something. All that is important to me is to prove a point. Prove a point. I am in conversation right now with international suppliers to donate medical supplies for COVID-19 should it exacerbate. And we're seeing that, and we're taking a preemptory step. This election is on the 10th of August. Any responses we get is beyond that. So whether we win or not, the benefit to Trinidad and Tobago will be a benefit anyway. And it's in an advanced stage of the conversation, and it's because it needs to be done, because the government playing with people. And then they're going to use your sickness to get their friends and family in the medical supply business wealthier. So you will be paying $200,000 for a pill. Terrence telegraphed that. The Progressive Empowerment Party is the reason this election is so exciting for a lot of people. And I was telling you about Garvin, and I was reading Garvin's manifesto to be Prime Minister of Diego Martin. And Garvin has promises in his 2-page document that includes things like procurement. And I stopped reading there because as the Prime Minister of Diego Martin don't get different laws than the rest of the country. So even if he won all of those promises, he cannot keep. It's impossible to keep it. He might as well say if he's elected, he will set up his constituency office on Mars. That might be easier than having different laws for Diego Martin than the rest of the country. Garvin is lying to you. And on the back of it is Garvin Nicholas himself. And all of his accolades are what he exchanged support for Kamala for. He put former UK High Commissioner. But this boy, who was Chandrish nephew, was the High Commissioner to Washington, and Aaron Boxo was he, or his brother, I can't remember which one of the Boxos. Was he? I grew up with the Boxos. Boxos was people that didn't want their party because they reached fight that. And he was the ambassador to Canada, and in a week, we started to hear things about companies that Trinidad looking to deal with that be named in all kind of corruption and fraud. Getting to be an ambassador under the UNC or the PNM is a deal, a negotiation. So whatever support you give them, what you want in exchange, I want that. You get that. But to be an ambassador from Trinidad is a kobo sweat. There's nothing for you to do. Nothing but enjoy yourself. Like yourself. Wear fine clothes and call yourself a diplomat. But there's nothing for you to do ever. If you doubt that, Orville London, that donkey, is our High Commissioner to London. The most important diplomatic post possible. Orville London. They made Penelope Beckles the High Commissioner, the ambassador to the United Nations, to move her as far from the party as was possible. Phillip Boxu, Aaron brother. To move her as far, and listen, there is no claim to fame. His next item was he was Attorney General for the 3 months after Ram Logan was fired, before the whole UNC was fired. But he put former Attorney General. It's like there was a guy, a Brian something. He was a lawyer, and he was actually a senator for a day and changed his Facebook name to former senator. He was a senator for 1 day. Former senator. It's like when your life peaks at a point that you know, when your life peaks, I should have remembered it was Phillip because he had the same name as me. And that will always be a claim to fame. Gavin's resume does not include anything that he has accomplished. He was handed a high commissioner position in exchange for supporting Kamala and running for elections. Like Eli Zakur was given a gas station license and other things. That's why he up in Diego Martin noticed, no, that's not even a bench seat. You don't even have to show up for the game. You have no play. So when Gavin Nicholas comes out there to talk and he says, like Aloy Hunt, when he says, the voice of Diego Martin, MND, I handed it to my sister who lives in Diego Martin, Central PT Valley, and she says, if he is the voice of Diego Martin, how come he's been so silent? And that's the point. Now you call yourself the voice of Diego Martin, and you've done nothing for Diego Martin. I got Diego Martin a highway bypass that has solved traffic for thousands of people, saved them millions of hours and billions of dollars that would have been lost to people sitting in traffic. I gave them that. I got water for Rich Plain. Those are two of my, I have paved a road and fixed potholes, and Lee Schaefer and other people could tell you that they were complaining and begging and appealing and preaching us RTD freighters about in front of his store on Mount Coco Road. And they were begging people for help. And this was before the party was formed. Colin Hamilton, myself, Timothy Nokio, Tim Timal, and my son Josh and a couple other people pull up there on a public holiday. We went by Northern Hardware, we buy the gravel, we buy the cement, we came, we mix it, we fix the potholes. Because I was tired of listening to these people complain that they come out of church in St. Finbar's or they're going about their business and the road is reduced to less than a lane because of this, and it was going on for more than a year. So I said, look, to hell with it, and I went and I fixed it. And I'm saying, I could say I am the voice of Diego Martin. I have solved problems for people all through Diego Martin for years. I am a go-to person. Tracy Shepard could tell you. People call for me. Colin Hamilton, God rest his soul, could have told you that. He could have tested that. The work that we've done. Marsha Riley Walker, who is the candidate for Diego Martin West for the UNC, could tell you how much work I did without a seat, without an office. And I want to say this. It is easy to claim. It's easy to say you are the voice of Diego Martin. But it's meaningless. And it's easy to say you are a high commissioner. Like that is something that you had to study hard in school for. Orville London doing that job now. The same job you were doing that you're claiming on your resume, your replacement is Orville London. How intelligent do you think you have to be for that post? So literally, go and sit down in that place and you do what we want you to do when we want you to do it. You said, Gavin, on an interview with me, that you had no authority, no time, it was a Kobo sweat. How did it make it on your resume? And why is there nothing else on your resume that looks like you actually accomplished something? You and your two friends. Because, and I have to say this to the public because you need to hear this. Voting for them in Diego Martin would waste essential votes. And I want to be able to take that express and fold it up real tight, put some ketchup and mustard on it and give it to Nigel Henry to put in his mouth. I'll save it for that. Nigel Henry, how much ever the PNM pay for that front page, I'm going to keep that front page, and I promise you, after we beat the PNM, I'm going to fold it up tight, put ketchup, mustard, pepper on it, and I'm going to feed it to you. And you had to eat it because you published that bullshit. I should get 2 copies, one for you and one for the editor of the Express. Silver dollars, boy, 30 pieces of silver. Lie to the public. Lie to the public. Lie. But you know what? You know what you can't lie about? Tomorrow night, between 7:45 and 9 o'clock. You can't lie about that. Trinidad, prepare for what's probably going to feel like a real political earthquake. I say no more. The Progressive Empowerment Party has brought politics close to the people through these kind of shows. Gavin, do a live video. Talk to the people. Keith Rowley, do one. Kamala, just talk to the people. Talk unscripted. Let them ask you questions. Let them phone in or WhatsApp you. I want to say, those of you who are loving that mix, Mark Ramjohn, DJ Scooby, is responsible for the pep mix. And I'm saying that because it dawned on me today that the PNM and the UNC are being sued by different Calypsonians for using their music campaigning. The Progressive Empowerment Party owns 3 songs. We own 3 songs that we paid for. Our mix, and the only song we didn't pay for is Tyrone Hernandez, Vote Them Out. And on stage at the opening of San Fernando's hub office, he said, because he knew that it is I who brought that back to Trinidad and Tobago and was playing it every night at the end of my video, because people didn't know what or who a Tyrone Hernandez was or what a Vote Them Out was. And we made that song famous again to the point where he could have come back and sing it. And he said that that song is pep song. So when we do our remix, we're doing our music. Not even that. PNM and UNC can't even respect that. PNM and UNC have to go and thief Trinidad killer music, and our next Calypsonian, I can't remember his name, I think it's Mr. Wetman or something like that, you thief their music. You couldn't even pay them. John Donovan said you forgot his name. Who are you talking about? But coming back to Diego Martin Northeast, outside of Adams Bagels, on Saddle Road, there is a bridge where the Maraval River passes under the street. And there is a bridge. You wouldn't know it's a bridge because it's, unless you're on the sidewalk and you look and you see that that's the Maraval River. If you're heading north for over a year, the railing on the left side is down in the river. And the railing on the right side is tied, the 2 pieces of river, tied together with telephone wire. Travali, I was there when the concept came up about blame Kamala. And what that's called is accelerating into the skid. Because there's a lot to blame Kamala for. And they play that game now about overdo it. But blame Kamala for life sport, and blame Kamala for SIS, and blame Kamala for the wastewater treatment plant, and blame Kamala for living in the people house in St. Augustine, who she was giving the contracts to the trucking company. Blame Kamala for all of that. Blame Kamala for being there with Ishan Steve. Blame Kamala for Section 34. Blame Kamala for those things. Don't play a game and tell me about blame Kamala about the breeze and blame Kamala for the night. Blame Kamala for Anna and Ram Logan. Blame Kamala for Anil Roberts. Blame Kamala for the mad woman who was the Minister of Health and became the ambassador to the United Nations. That is the job Penelope Beckles doing now. That crazy ass, what was her name? Who was she became the meme queen of Trinidad and Tobago. The man that made the next Scooby, you matter what? Scooby, I was checking my phone. Let me show you why I was checking my phone. Because Scooby sent me a new message about something that was just going on. And think I'm lying. Watch it there. I don't do that, brother. I talk straight. If I tell you I forget, I would have say. And the UNC that passed and pulled down all the wires in Barataria, passed and pulled down all the wires in Maraval, opposite Adams today, and caused traffic for thousands of people. And okay, but Baptiste Cornelis Therese, that mad ass, that mad hatter, she was the High Commissioner, the Ambassador to the United Nations. If she could be, I have two dogs, George and Macy. Macy is the latest addition. Macy could be the ambassador to the United Nations if Therese Cornelis was. Trust me on that. John Donovan, me and Scooby, we talk daily. So I can't forget his name. And that's why he did the mix. And there were a lot of people. And I want to tell you this. We have a lot of people who've helped us with our music. Anil Beam, Joey Ningwai, Second Image and Company. A lot of people. Look, we have one chance. One chance to rescue this country. One. We miss this boat, we're in trouble. Venezuelans would leave Trinidad to go back to Venezuela. They have nothing good on the horizon. And it's something like I only tell you bad news. I want you to wake up to the reality of what they're doing today. Stuart Young had a motorcade that passed me in Maraval. And they were all outfitted cars for the motorcade. So that means it was a PNM rally on the move. And there was nobody else interested. There was nobody coming out. There was nobody asking for anything. People was just ignoring them. So you were literally making noise in people's head for no reason. No reason at all. And Kamala, no. They have to bribe people. I will take away your taxes. I will give you a free laptop and 50,000 jobs. But she's not telling me how she's paying for that. She doesn't know how she's paying for that. And after the election, they'll come and tell you, well, the treasury was empty. We didn't know it was so bad. We had to pay the PSA. We had to pay WTU. So, sorry, we can't keep the promise because it shouldn't be so easy to lie to people. It shouldn't. It shouldn't be so easy to lie to people. The laptops program was the Congress of the People's idea. And I didn't know that until the Congress of the People told me that. It shouldn't be so easy to lie to people. Nobody is interested in what you have to offer. Nobody is interested in what you're doing because you didn't deliver when last you were in office. Why should they trust you now? Tracy Shepard is saying on one of the threads, I remember when you sent a truck of water for a client in Carnage immediately when I called you after the Tucker Valley pump broke down and Wassa could not deliver water for days. People remember these things. I can't remember, but she did. And I can't remember those things because it's been a long time we've been doing this thing. And the reason on my banners and the reason my campaign in Diego Martin Norte says Phillip will fix it is because that's what people say of me. That's what they know. That if you call Phillip, if you ask the head of the Disabled People's Association, they will tell you Phillip will fix it. You go down to the homeless people in Port of Spain and you ask them, they'll tell you Phillip will fix it. The heads of all the orphanages in Trinidad and Tobago, Phillip will fix it. And those are people that can't come back and give me their vote. We were fixing it for people who we could get nothing from in return. I can't call them for a donation. I can't ask them for a help out. I can't tell them come and join my motorcade. I can't tell them vote for me. So we're just helping people. We've been fixing it for people for a long time. There was a guy in Lopino who became paralyzed from the neck down. And he forced his finger to type. And he was reaching out to everybody that he could for help. And nobody took him on. Member of the Jericho Project, a photographer, forwarded it to me, a very talented photographer, and he forwarded it to me and he said, listen, this is outside of our wheelhouse, but this guy, and we went to meet him, and he was confined to a bed, and his whole world collapsed. He was an engineer. He was an engineer before this happened, and life was full of promise. And I'm not going to call his name, but I want to tell you something. He wanted simple things. He had therapy, and he just wanted the regional corporation to fix the road that comes up to his driveway, so that his caregivers could have gotten him into the vehicle that came to pick him up to take him for therapy. Because if they didn't fix the road, he couldn't go for therapy, and he badly wanted to go for therapy. We fixed the road. Not only did we fix the road, we raised money and got him a brand new wheelchair. And I have pictures of Josh and Kaifa when they were little boys, standing on either side of him when he sat in his new wheelchair for the first time. I saw even Josh and Kaifa, forget that. And we went there and we cleaned his house. We took the Jericho Project team and we cleaned his house and painted his house and fixed it up for him, fixed up his bathroom. I mean, the man's, he was living in desolate squalor. And we just, and again, I can't call him and tell him I want your vote. I can't, he's still somebody that sees me on Facebook. There's a young lady, I walked in Royal Castle one day, I was dropping my parents home, they asked me for lunch, and we stopped by Royal Castle, Diego Martin, and I walked in. And as I walked in, there was a woman sitting in Royal Castle with such a ghastly affliction that I just walked right back out. It frightened me. She was covered from head to toe in growths, big fleshy tumors all over her. She was just covered in these things, and it was such a scary sight to see. I got back in the car with my parents and said, what's going on? I said, I was trying to make an excuse, and then I realized I had to deal with this. And I got back out of the car, and I went inside, and I walked up to her, and I said, ma'am, please forgive me, but is anybody helping you? And she asked me with what? And she's brilliant. And I said, with your condition. Now I have a doctor friend, Ravindra Lala, he could tell you because he got involved. And other people got involved in her case. Long story short, I took TV6 up to her house to put it on blast because this woman's story was all the sadness that you could hear in a story. She was covered with these things. And it's an affliction. It's a neurological affliction. And they have a lot of people, they have some people in trouble with it. And you can't cut them off because they grow back more. So it really is. And she had one under her thigh, the size of a watermelon. And I'm thinking, this is all over this woman's body. It's on her eyelids. I mean, it's so sad. And it was worse. Where she was living, the people below her on the hill excavated, a businessman bought the property, they excavated to make more space in the property they bought, and all her requests for help to the regional corporation was ignored, and her house collapsed in a rainfall and went down the hill and collapsed. And this woman ended up living with her 2 children because it's an affliction that comes on later on in your life. And she's living in an open air space that you access by climbing a hill made of tires. under somebody else's house. And we got her a house through HDC. And I lobbied Rudal Munilal. And I lobbied Rabindra Munan. And I lobbied Rose, Rudal's secretary, until they got fed up of me and gave her that house. She got a house. And Jericho Project helped her put stuff in the house. And we were doing an election campaign, and she just volunteered one day to come and talk on the stage, and to talk about the help that she got. And I get her talking about this, and I'm thinking, it feels obscene to talk about these things, because I didn't do it then knowing that I was getting into politics, and I'm not doing this tonight because I want to benefit from it. I'm saying these things because regardless of the situation, if I touch it, I'll fix it. To the best of my ability, I'll fix it. I'll get it fixed. If I take on the responsibility for it, I'll get it fixed. And getting her a house and all those things was okay, but it didn't change her life and it didn't save her, but it made her life easier. But when I think about if I didn't walk in at Royal Castle, over the course of time knowing her, I had a meeting set up for her, and I called her to ask her, where are you? And she said, Mr. Phillip, it's taken me 3 hours to get a taxi, you know. People don't stop for me. I got a buffer for being late. I can't remember what the appointment was, but it was something to help her. And she told me, I'm on the side of the road 3 hours now. People don't stop for me. Every now and then, an empty taxi would pass and you have no choice, take her. When you think that you had it, you have anything. But I couldn't tell my parents why I walked back out of Royal Castle. Because they were the girl who can't go inside to help her. That's the parents I come from. That's my family. And it's my parents and my family that are responsible for all the things that I do. That's why I am the man I am. We all are creatures of conditioning, nature and nurture. And what we learn, we live. And I grew up in a home. And I'm feeling bad for saying these things, because I'm really not trying to capitalize on it politically. But I don't know how else to get you to understand that. I don't know how else to get you to understand that I will get the job done. I will. And with the right people in office, secure the nation's borders, the crime will end. Guns will get picked up. We have a lot of good police. And the good police will pick up all the guns. And with a proper social development master plan, because that's what we have, a social development master plan. Our members will tell you, we want to rebuild the communities. A nation is a collection of communities. If you rebuild the communities, we win. All of our policies work together to rebuild the communities. Our national policies are things like move the offices out of Port of Spain, but even those are aimed at community redevelopment. Moving the port of Port of Spain, securing the nation's borders with the maritime security wall, all of those things are meant to impact your home, your family, your community. It's not been easy to play this game. but I'm watching the response on the ground. And we fought. You all have seen that. We fought to get here. We didn't accept defeat. We didn't accept a biased media. We didn't accept lies as interviews. We fought. I fought. And nobody expected that I would. Nobody expected people that look like me would stand up for people that live in the ghetto. It's still hard for them, some people to understand. It's still hard to equate it. Because a lot of people who do what I do, all of those who do videos like I do videos and talk like I talk and try to champion issues like I champion issues, all of them looking for a link up and a play. None of them looking to build. Cyril asked in his group the other night, who else has ever built a political party that has challenged the contract mafia? Who else besides the Progressive Empowerment Party? Not one person has been successful at it. You know why Keith Rowley will not postpone the election? I'll tell you now, because I doubt it will happen if I say this. And we're ready for the election, you know. He thought that we're sitting on our hands because we're writing the president, but we're launching on Monday a media center. We're not sticking. We're here to do this job properly. But you know why he dare not postpone the election? Because it'll create a situation where the EBC will have to return everybody's deposit to them, and we will have to re-nominate people for the new election date that has to be read as a writ, according to the Constitution. And that new nomination day, you have no idea the amount of people that were angry that they missed the opportunity to have been a candidate for the PEP for this election. And if he postpones the election, we will get a full 39 candidate slate. And if he postpones the election, because people who didn't believe in us before so believe in us now that they're giving us financial support and they want to help us. And I think that I did a video, I did a show last week where I had the two of them, the Prime Minister and the opposition leader, the leader of the PNM and the leader of the UNC. And I did a debate with them on that show. And a guy who owns an advertising agency who's worked with the PNM and the UNC, he called me right after. He said, if you had 6 more weeks, you win the election. Vernon de Lima said to me 3 weeks is a long time in politics. So I still think that in the next 9 days, we're going to pull it off. I think that it is becoming a critical mass now. It has become fashionable for people to say a voting PEP. That's where I get it from, a voting PEP. People telling people, hey, hush them out a voting PEP. And the people who are getting paid to pretend that the PNM are getting smaller and smaller. The people who are being paid to pretend the UNC are getting smaller and smaller. And when you see the motorcades and those vehicles and the people waving, getting paid to wave, I pass a UNC office on Chagrit Road. And they have this little black boy outside in a yellow jersey waving a flag. And you could see that he's waving that flag. And it's being abused. So this is child abuse because you're paying this fella to wave this flag and he's just waving that flag because it's a job. The Progressive Empowerment Party have no employees. We can't pay nobody. Not a soul gets a salary. Nobody. So everyone of all of those people are in it for a better country and a love of the Progressive Empowerment Party. And all of them know why we do this. For you to choose to come on board the Progressive Empowerment Party is because you are a person of integrity, first of all. that you want a better country. It takes that. You need that. You need to be a person of integrity that wants a better country, that realizes that the only way to get a better country is that all of us get together and work together. It's our responsibility in the democracy, so let's do it. Okay, I'm here, I've shown up, what can I do? For us to win, people like you, the good and decent people in the country, have to outnumber the rest. Vidal Darren said the government will have to pay the grants. You think the grants is what they're studying? Brother, the government is afraid of their budget. The government is afraid of the budget. Kid Rowley, don't mind if 100 people died from COVID-19. As long as he don't have to read that budget before the election. Because if Kid Rowley reads that budget before the election, PNM supporters will kick PNM out of office. Mark that. Guaranteed. Because the people who are going to suffer the most after the elections from a post-COVID-19 budget are the people that the PNM have conned and fooled into believing that because you're black and poor, PNM is your party. They are going to be hurt hard. There's nothing left. Peter doesn't have anything for you to uncover Peter to cover Paul. There's nothing left. So you can't lie. There's nobody for you to turn to but the IMF. Maybe Maduro could do a deal with you with Chinese gold. I don't know. I don't know. But this Kid Rowley government, and I am afraid for my country after. I'm afraid. I don't think that, anyway, more times for those things. A better Trinidad and Tobago is what we're talking about. A better Trinidad and Tobago. We have people like Kezia Rampon, she lives abroad now. She escaped the cesspool. She has some land. And a couple of years ago, we started talking about PEP farms and a proof of concept to show our agriculture policy. She got in touch with her family. She said, listen, we have some land we're not using. Let's make it available to PEP farms. And again, Oliver Marin did the same. Let's make it available, PEP farms. These are the people that came on board the Progressive Empowerment Party early, the first adopters, people who wanted to see it succeed. But the people who have been coming on since are the people who've heard the message, not the delivery, not the tone, and didn't judge the messenger. I mean, I am politically sexy and we have to accept that. And I am loud and aggressive sometimes. But I have to be, because I am fighting a criminal construct. I know this is not the kind of video where you're going to get 1,000 hearts floating through the screen. This is a kind of truth video. This video is telling you the reality of what we're facing. In 9 days, this country rescues itself or consigns itself to a frightening future. Every single businessman in this country knows that. That even if your little business is insulated from the national economy, even if you just import everything and export everything, when the drama start, you think your workers come into work? You think the people are going to be on the port to clear your imports or your exports? Going forward for this country requires all of us to stand together and go forward. Felicia Holder asked me to raise $30,000 tonight. Now I wanted to come on this video and give you a lot of hope and blow a lot of smoke. But I needed people to get a dose of reality. We could blow smoke. You're going to see a show tomorrow and you're going to fall in love. And a lot of people are going to fall in love and they're going to pile on this party after tomorrow. And they're going to want to just be in the PEP and get involved. They want a jersey, they want a hat, they want a flag, they want to go and march in town. They will feel it. It's about to happen. We're about to hit critical mass. It's going to detonate. An entire conspiracy of hope is about to dawn in Trinidad tomorrow night. And people are going to call one another on the phone. And they're going to text one another. And they're going to message one another on Facebook. And they're going to say, listen to me. Join the Progressive Empowerment Party and vote for that party, because the future of this country, it will be in good hands if we do. Monday morning, we are preparing for the public launch of our new media center and headquarters. It's a lot bigger than what we had at Stanmore, and that's happening right now. They're preparing for that, but the office is open every day from 10 to 10. And we need your help. We need your help, and financially we need your assistance, and we need your volunteering assistance. Sean Sunarayan, the deputy chair, he's Trini Mamu on Facebook, and Michelle Davis, Mobilization, Shari Wilson, even Glenn Robinson you could reach out to. These are the people who, if you want to volunteer. Akil Camps is the hub leader for all the constituencies in the north, and Maurice Downs is the hub leader for all the constituencies in the east, and Matthew Gibbs is the hub leader for all the constituencies in central, and in south there's the deep south constituencies, and all of them you get through either through Rondell or Michelle Davis. But all of these people, if you want to volunteer on election day, they need you to protect the vote. It is important that we guard and protect the vote and the count. We also need volunteers to call people, to assist people, to assist in getting the vote out, all of that. Reach out to your hub leader, reach out to your constituency candidate, reach out to Sean Sunarayan, Trinimamu, Michelle Davis, or Shari Wilson, or Glenn Robinson. Help us get the machinery right moving into election day. The media center, our media center, will go live within days, and it will be constantly updating on our page, constantly live. Where we are, it is set up full time for media briefing and for presentation, and with or without any of the other media present, our media, PEP media, will be reporting and accounting to you. We need your financial assistance, and if you could, and I know a lot of you have been really helpful, any of you who have missed the opportunity to donate before, we have 4 more shows in the next 9 days. And those 4 shows are guaranteed to bring it home. We also have a lot of advertising going on. But our advertising is not fling crap at a wall and see if it sticks. Our advertising is policy, 3-minute videos that are educating the public and empowering and informing them as to what should be done, what could be done, and why. I keep saying it's not enough to save 50,000 jobs. You could see anything. 50,000 mermaids, 50,000 dancing dolphins. What is the difference if you're not explaining where it's going to come from? 50,000 unicorns in leotards and heels. We need to be honest with ourselves. We've never had a UNC government that delivered what we wanted. We've settled and we call what happened a win. But be honest. All of the criminal matters, all of the white-collar criminality, all of the collapse and the infighting and the backbiting and all of that comes with the UNC. You ready to play that game again? All of the name calling. Remember when you were called, teachers were called criminals, and Duncy Head, Churon. You want to go back to there? You want to go back to that? Where one man have 21 relatives in state positions. When a notorious drug lord was put in charge of a state board. You want to go back to there? An alleged drug lord. You want to go back to there? Do you want to continue this game where the contract mafia continues to loot the country until there's nothing left to loot? Until there's nothing left in Trinidad and Tobago? You want to go back to there? Or you want to try for a better country where all of our people have hope and opportunity? What's your plans for the steel plant? Junior Rollins, that has to do with steel values. That has to do with what the condition of the steel plant is now. We watched Metal take our steel plant and become one of the richest men in the world. So obviously there was a potential for it. Chinese steel now flooding the world again. Everything that Chinese do is dumping and is destroy the market so they can own it. We see that. We have a steel plant. Let's find a way to repurpose it to value. That's a conversation we have to have. And it's not something I've put my mind to, but it's an asset and a resource. Can it be automated to deliver certain items for the construction sector? Does it produce the corrugated steel that we need for reinforced concrete? Does it produce steel that could be fabricated into I-beams and H-beams? I don't have that information before me, but I'm willing to research it and get back to you on it. We have good people who could help and advise on that, but all of our industry could be repurposed to profit by identifying where it goes from here. I remember when Mittal said that all he did was fire the management. That's all he did. And turned formerly Ispat Iscot into a profitable company that almost allowed him to corner all the steel in the world. Going forward from here, every single day from here, tomorrow night, Sunday night, we have a lot of positives, we have a lot of wins, and I don't want to get boastful. I need us to be humble. I need us to just keep our eye on the prize. But it's unfair. It's unfair what the Express just did. That's an unfair thing. Because it's to con people and fool them and say, all right, well, if Pep could only get 1%, then what's the point of the vote? I want to tell you something. 70% of this country's population, and Nigel Henry should have published that as the front page. 70% of this country's people want nothing to do with the PNM or the UNC. So if 40% of the remaining 30% want them, all of them could walk off a bridge. I don't care. What we want to deal with is the people who want a better Trinidad and Tobago, and they outnumber that. And it is unfair that the Express could get away with such misinformation. That is criminal journalistic malpractice. And they shouldn't be allowed to do that. But it is what it is, because nothing do work in Trinidad and Tobago. So who do we call? Who do we call? Think it through. Going forward from here, Trinidad and Tobago, going forward from here, we need your assistance. Come on board and help us. Tomorrow we're on the ground. We've been on the ground before anybody else, but tomorrow we're back on the ground. Go to your constituency, get in touch with your candidates, deal with them and help them on the ground in the constituency, mobilize the communities. And to all the people in Diego Martin Northeast, I want to tell you something. I appreciate the love. I appreciate that you see me hanging a banner and you and your wife turn around the vehicle to come back to just tell me, keep up the good work, your whole family voting. I love that. Those things motivate me, no matter how tired. So, we are going to win this. I feel it now in my bones. We have my tired, exhausted bones, but we are going to win this. Tomorrow night, 7:45, we will be live, but it won't be live, it's pre-recorded, TV6. But that show, Rihanna Daly, please reach out to Hadassah, Charles McLeod. Anybody else who would like to assist and help, we're chasing some big numbers to pay for those advertising bills. Yeah? August 10th, we're going to save TNT. August 10th, we're going to vote PEP. Until tomorrow, stay safe, Trinidad and Tobago.